Okay, this is the second lesson on arpeggios in one position based on a major scale. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I did a previous video with all the arpeggios in one position. So for an A major, we can play A, we can play D, we can play G sharp half diminished, and C sharp minor. Without really looking at our hand too much, maybe at that one, but not really. And then we talked about the ways you could use them and how useful they are and all the reasons why. And I'll talk about them again. We did them in A, and we did them in E, and we're going to keep that going here. So we did them in A, we did them in E in 12th position. The assumption in the first video was that the root of the scale is on the low E string, string number 6. So here's A, and E would be in 12. Each time I'm playing the scale, I'm starting it with my middle finger, which puts me in 4th position to play A and 11th position to play E. So in this one, we're going to keep going with that, only we're going to make the root note on the A string, so on string number 5. So we need to know where A is, and we need to know where E is first. So on the A string, A is on 12, or 0, but we can't really do this on 0. Okay, so if we play 12, if we play 11, and we play 14, that's A, that's C sharp, and that's E, which outlines an A major. Move up to the D string, there's D, 12, F sharp, 11, A, 14, and then we have G sharp, which is 13, on the G string, string number 3, 12, B, D, 10. And on this one, I even kind of shimmy up to 12th position and play 14 on G, 14 on B, and 12 on E. So that gives me A major, D major, G sharp, A. And there's one more on the E string. It would be E major, so it would be 12, 11, which is G sharp, and then 14, which is B. But generally, just to keep our heads in the right place, I would start it on the A string, on the root of the scale. Keep my ear tuned in, because if I started on E, it might not sound correct, especially because we're going to go to E later, so it could be confusing. So here it is. And then backwards. And just like before, we can do the same exercises where they're just simple patterns of eighth notes, little groups of eighth notes. Nothing too crazy. Okay, so that's A. So now we have 2 ways to play all the A major arpeggios. We have them in 4th position, and we have them in 12th position, and we're going to just converge over time. As we memorize these, we just get them all, right? But not in this one video. Here's 11th position. Okay, so that's A major. So now we'll change keys and do E major. I only am doing E major and A because I did those in the last 2. So it's easy to just combine these logically. We did just the same 2 scales. So now we're changing keys. We're in E major. So here's E major. On the A string, E is on 7. So we play 7. We play 6 on D. We play 9 on D. And that gives us an E major triad. The fingering should be the same as the ones we just did on the 11th position for A, just in a different place. But the fingering's the same. So now I'm on the D string and I play 7. And then I play 6 on G, and then 9. So 7 is, here's E, here's A, C sharp E, A major, right? That's D sharp diminished. This is 8, 7, 5. And then I move this up to 9 on G, 9 on B, and 7 on E, and that's E major. So same exact pattern, just in a different place on the instrument. And then if we go all the way down to the low E string, we outline a B major chord, which would be 9 on A, 6 on A, and 7 on E. If we put all that together, we have this. Here's E, here's D, here's D sharp diminished, E, and then backwards. And then I play the B at the end, and then I go to E. So I can play those in the same way that I just did, just in little groupings of eighth notes. So that's the end of this, but now we're going to just talk about what you would do with these, the two main things, and then just a couple of ideas. The main thing would be if it's in the keys that we're playing, all these arpeggios sound good. So in other words, if we're in the key of A, I'm in A, and I play anything in this zone that we just practiced. If I play any of that stuff, it sounds good. If I play it here, it sounds good. Doesn't really matter. I'm not thinking of the arpeggios. They do exist, obviously, on a theoretical thing, but in my head I'm not thinking this is G sharp and this is A and this is, I'm not thinking that at all. It's just I know that these fingerings will sound good in the key because all the notes I'm playing are correct, right? So if we're playing in the key of E major, all the stuff we just played in E major will work out just fine. You can combine it with scale lines. Any way you really want to do it, everything sounds right. It doesn't really matter. So that's the first way. It's sort of the most obvious way. If it's in the key, you play the same key. And then you get into a little bit headier stuff. So if there's a dominant chord playing, if it's a blues song, or if it's just any song where there's a dominant 7 that is a pulling chord up a 4th, down a 5th, whatever you want to do. Even if it's not, you could still play it, address it this way, and see if you like the way it sounds and do it. You can use this the same way if you know how to find the home key of the chord, which is not that difficult, right? So if it's E7, if you're looking at a book or you're playing a song and the chord at the time is E7, right? You could think it's the 5 chord of something, right? So in A, I'm going to play A major scale. A, B, C sharp, D, E. So if I hear E7, that means I know I can play A. I'm accessing the same language. I'm not ignoring it, even if I just play C sharp the whole time. It doesn't matter. It's all correct. And there's nothing wrong with just playing an E7 arpeggio if you knew how to do that, right? We're not really talking about that. We're talking about just positional playing, accessing stuff that you can find all the time in one place. Okay, so in the key, if we're playing and there's a B7 in the chord, then that's the 5 chord of E. Here's E, F sharp, G sharp, A, B. That means B7 is happening, and that means all the stuff we learned over E will work. Is there a faster way to figure that out? I don't know. If it's a 7, a dominant 7, you could go up a 4th. I think that's right. Yeah, up a 4th or down a 5th. So it just depends on how you think about it, because it's the same information. So in other words, here's my E7. Here's the root of the chord, E. So up a 4th would be this way. That's A. So that tells me I'm in A major. Or down a 5th. Think of a power chord. That's also A. And I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there you go. It doesn't really matter. It just depends on how you think of it. I don't really think about it that way, but if you have a hard time understanding 5s and dominance and what that actually implies, then this is a fine way to figure it out. We can go through a couple other ones, even though I didn't like show the fingerings and all. It's the same exact thing, just in a different place. Let's say you see F7. Right, so here's F. If I go up a 4th, I'm in the key of B flat, which means all the arpeggio stuff and scale stuff we just learned will work. I think I played the wrong note there, but that's okay. So there's another example. If I see I don't know, A flat 7, whatever. There's A flat 7, right? A flat 7. If I go up a 4th, it would be G flat, right? Or D flat. D flat. And then down a 5th, same thing. So D flat stuff would be the way to go. So there's A flat. And you can do this with every key. Go through the whole circle. Blues changes. You could practice specific, the way they move, and how to practice that. Practice licks that lead back and forth that way. That's good practice because a lot of songs work the same way blues changes do. So that's another way. And the other 2 ways were combinations of minor pentatonic and major pentatonic stuff that every guitar player knows when they first start playing, and pretty much forever, I guess. So let's go through that a little bit. So let's go back to E. So here's E. Here's the E arpeggios. And let me see if I can come up with something that's in E minor pentatonic. Maybe that was a little on the nose, I don't know. Combining that like third thing sounds cool, like it just starts sounding like one kind of thing to me, so it's kind of hard to break it apart. I don't know. It's a good way to practice. I think of these as not really separated things anymore, so it's weird for me to break them apart. I can definitely do it if I think about it though. So that's the way to go for these, and of course there's other ways you can use them. You can use them modally, which is another really long discussion. But anyway, the thing to take away from this today anyway is how to practice them on if the root note is on the A string. What chords and arpeggios can you get out of that? And start experimenting with that. So that's the second one of these arpeggio videos, and these would be called diatonic fourths because I'm actually moving up a fourth every time I do it. So major scale arpeggios in diatonic fourths. Real catchy title.